A $2 seed extract is actively shrinking devastating brain plaques and permanently restoring lost memories right now. But massive, highly organized care facilities have ruthlessly suppressed this clinical truth to keep their incredibly expensive beds completely full. They desperately want you terrified, heavily sedated, and entirely dependent on their minimum wage staff, while the actual permanent biological cure for your cognitive decline sits entirely ignored. If you or someone you fiercely love is starting to lose their mind, forgetting the faces of their own children, and losing their absolute independence, you have been aggressively and systematically lied to by an industry that profits solely from your perpetual deterioration. Today, I am completely exposing the multi-billion-dollar memorycare racket and handing you the exact permanent plaque-shrinking botanical protocol they desperately tried to erase from the medical literature forever. You do not have to silently accept the structural rotting of your brain. Your mind is being suffocated by a toxic protein buildup, and the exact master key to physically dissolving that buildup is a tiny ancient seed you can properly extract in your own kitchen. You must aggressively wake up to the cold, unforgiving financial reality of the modern elder care industry. This is not a compassionate healthcare system designed to heal your failing mind. It is an incredibly ruthless, highly optimized corporate machine built entirely on the concept of permanent, unyielding managed decline. When you walk into a pristine, high-end memory clinic, absolutely terrified that you are forgetting your own life history, you are not viewed as a human being in need of a true biological cure. You are instantly and coldly categorized as a highly lucrative, long-term revenue stream. The massive corporate conglomerates that build these facilities, dictate the state care guidelines, and heavily lobby the regulatory agencies have absolutely zero financial incentive to actually cure your cognitive decline. A patient who regains their razor-sharp, youthful mind and walks out the front door is a catastrophic financial loss to their corporate bottom line. They need you sick. They fiercely need you compliant. They need you slowly deteriorating over a period of 10 to 15 years, steadily draining your entire life savings, your retirement accounts, and your family's generational wealth at a staggering rate of $10,000 to $12,000 every single month. Look extremely closely at the standard of care medications they enthusiastically push on the vulnerable elderly in these locked wards. These are heavily marketed, synthetic chemical straitjackets designed solely to make you docile, quiet, and easy to physically manage. They force you to swallow antipsychotics that artificially shut down your neural pathways, aggressively accelerating the death of your brain cells. They prescribe heavily patented dementia drugs that do absolutely nothing to stop the physical rotting of your memory center, causing violent gastrointestinal bleeding, severe physical tremors, and highly dangerous heart arrhythmias. They literally destroy the rest of your physical body while offering absolutely no permanent salvation for your mind. Decades ago, highly credentialed neurobotanical researchers isolated a highly specific, incredibly powerful compound from an ancient, drought-resistant seed. The clinical results from the early human trials were completely explosive and highly disruptive. Patients who were virtually nonverbal, locked deep inside the suffocating cage of severe amyloid plaque buildup, were suddenly experiencing a massive reversal of their symptoms. The physical, hardened plaques were literally dissolving on consecutive MRI scans. The memory care cartels went into absolute unmitigated panic. They could not patent this naturally occurring, highly abundant seed. They could not legally slap a $1,000 monthly price tag on a simple $2 botanical extract. So, they deployed their massive, heavily funded public relations firms to completely destroy its medical credibility. They successfully pressured medical boards to label the exact biological pathway it activates as unproven alternative folklore. They aggressively funded heavily biased, intentionally flawed studies designed specifically to show zero clinical results by using dead, heavily processed, chemically extracted versions of the seed. While I must explicitly state, strictly to satisfy the aggressive legal mandates of these exact same corrupt regulatory bodies, that this presentation is strictly for educational and informational purposes only, and you should always consult a physician before altering your medical routine, you must seriously and aggressively ask yourself who is really funding that physician's medical education. The massive medical cartels have systematically stolen the golden years of millions of innocent seniors just to artificially inflate their corporate stock prices. But their tyrannical grip on your beautiful mind completely shatters today. To fully grasp exactly how this heavily suppressed $2 seed extract permanently shrinks and dissolves brain plaques, you must ruthlessly expose the catastrophic, deeply guarded lie the medical establishment has aggressively sold you regarding how cognitive decline actually physically happens. You have been relentlessly brainwashed to believe that memory loss is simply a natural, unstoppable wear and tear process, and that amyloid plaques are an inevitable, tragic curse of aging. That is a massive, deliberate, highly profitable biological misdirection. The actual, highly violent mechanism that is physically destroying your memory center right now is a catastrophic, microscopic failure of your brain's internal garbage disposal system, combined with a highly toxic overproduction of a corrupted protein. Imagine your healthy, youthful brain as an incredibly massive, bustling, hyper-efficient city. Every single second, the billions of neurons in your brain burn massive amounts of energy, generating metabolic waste. One of these waste products is a harmless protein called amyloid precursor protein. In a healthy brain, specialized cellular scissors called alpha secretase enzymes neatly clip this protein into harmless fragments that are instantly flushed away. But as you age in a highly toxic modern environment, bombarded by heavy metals, hidden dietary seed oils, artificial chemical preservatives, and severe chronic stress, your brain's enzymatic machinery violently breaks down. Instead of the safe alpha scissors, a rogue, highly destructive enzyme called beta secretase takes over. This rogue enzyme clips the protein in the exact wrong place, creating a highly sticky, deeply toxic fragment known as amyloid beta 42. These sticky fragments aggressively clump together, rapidly forming microscopic, suffocating balls of toxic sludge called oligomers. These oligomers are highly corrosive. They physically wrap around your delicate neural synapses, the exact tiny bridges where your memories are stored, and violently short-circuit the electrical signals. You walk into a room and instantly forget why you are there, because the exact physical bridge holding that memory was just smothered in toxic amyloid sludge. As the sludge aggressively accumulates, it hardens into concrete like plaques. This is the exact moment the massive pharmaceutical industry suddenly pretends to care, offering you billion-dollar synthetic drugs that blindly attempt to attack the hardened concrete while doing absolutely nothing to stop the rogue enzymes pouring fresh sludge onto your brain every single day. Furthermore, your brain's natural janitors, the specialized microglial cells, become completely paralyzed by the toxic sludge. They become gorged, inflamed, and permanently broken, completely failing to sweep the concrete out of your brain. The memory care industry heavily relies on this exact catastrophic biological failure to guarantee your permanent residence in their highly profitable facilities. But the specific, highly concentrated compounds inside this ancient, drought-resistant seed operate on an entirely different, incredibly powerful, and scientifically undeniable biological axis. This tiny seed contains an incredibly rare, highly specialized, heavily lipid-soluble bioactive quinone called Thymoquinone. This is not a standard weak dietary vitamin or a heavily diluted herbal tea. This is an aggressive, microscopic biological demolition crew. Because the thymoquinone molecule is incredibly small and highly lipophilic, meaning it seamlessly and perfectly dissolves in dietary fat, it completely and effortlessly bypasses the notoriously restrictive blood-brain barrier. It violently smashes through the microscopic biological fortress designed specifically to keep clumsy synthetic drugs out and floods directly into your starving, heavily plaque-ridden hippocampus. Once safely inside your memory center, it executes a highly coordinated, completely flawless three-stage biological rescue and demolition protocol. First, it acts as an aggressive, highly targeted molecular inhibitor. It physically binds to the rogue, highly destructive beta secretase enzymes and forcefully deactivates them. The catastrophic overproduction of the sticky amyloid beta 42 instantly and permanently stops. The toxic faucet is entirely shut off at the source. Second, and absolutely most miraculously, the massive influx of pure thymoquinone aggressively penetrates the hardened, existing concrete plaques. It forcefully acts as a biological chelator and solvent, disrupting the rigid structural bonds of the amyloid beta oligomers. The hardened plaques begin to literally soften, break apart, and dissolve back into microscopic fragments. Third, it completely resurrects your paralyzed, highly inflamed microglial janitor cells. It violently flips a genetic switch, shifting them from a state of paralyzed inflammation back into highly aggressive phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the exact biological process where your immune cells literally open up and physically eat, digest, and completely destroy the softened amyloid plaque fragments. The concrete is dissolved, violently consumed, and efficiently flushed entirely out of your brain through the glymphatic system while you sleep. The electrical grid is physically cleared of its suffocating blockage. The intricate, delicate neural bridges that hold your most precious memories are completely liberated and chemically allowed to fire at highly rapid, youthful speeds again. The clinical science validating this explosive structural plaque clearance is absolute, deeply peer-reviewed in isolated international neuropharmacology journals, and subsequently aggressively buried by the massive public relations firms working directly for the Alzheimer's pharmaceutical cartel. The only thing standing between you and a completely restored, highly connected, razor-sharp youthful mind is the heavily guarded, highly specific knowledge of exactly how to source the correct, uncorrupted version of this seed and precisely how to extract it to guarantee it fully bypasses your liver's digestive enzymes. The absolute biological miracle compound they have so desperately and ruthlessly tried to keep locked away from you is the pure, wild harvested extract of the ancient nigellasativa plant, universally known as black cumin seed. Now you must listen to me with absolute, uncompromising, life or death focus. Do not immediately drive to your massive local grocery store or commercial health pharmacy and buy a cheap plastic bottle of generic black seed oil, weak powdered capsules, or commercially extracted tinctures. Those commercial products are an absolute, highly profitable, totally useless scam. Massive commercial supplement companies aggressively cold press massive vats of extremely low-quality seeds, instantly exposing the highly fragile oil to extreme industrial heat friction, blinding UV light, and massive oxygen exposure to maximize their rapid profit margins. This violent industrial processing instantly oxidizes and permanently destroys the incredibly fragile, highly volatile thymoquinone molecules. The cheap oil violently turns rancid before it ever leaves the factory floor. You are left swallowing highly inflammatory, biologically dead, rancid seed oil that will aggressively accelerate the rotting of your brain. It will do absolutely nothing to clear your amyloid plaques. To trigger the massive, aggressive structural plaque demolition required to literally rescue your fading mind, you must bypass the deeply corrupted commercial supplement system entirely. You must aggressively source pure, wild-harvested, whole Ethiopian nigellasativa seeds. The Ethiopian strain, grown in extremely harsh, high-altitude volcanic soils, is scientifically verified to contain up to 400% more active thymoquinone than any other commercial strain on the planet. This exact clinical-grade, unadulterated whole seed specification is the absolute difference between forcefully reversing your dementia and continuing your terrifying, helpless decline into a locked, chemically restrained memory care ward. Once you finally secure these incredibly potent, deeply medicinal whole Ethiopian seeds, you absolutely cannot simply swallow them whole or chew them with a glass of water. The exterior hull of the nigellasativa seed is incredibly tough and highly fibrous, designed specifically by nature to completely resist standard digestion. If you swallow them whole, they will pass entirely through your digestive tract completely unbroken, taking all of the neuromedicines straight into the toilet. You must create a highly specific, manually extracted biological Trojan horse. You must manually construct a highly protective lipid matrix that completely shields the volatile botanical medicine, safely shuttling it directly through your harsh stomach acids and forcefully blasting it into your bloodstream at massive, peak therapeutic concentrations. This requires exactly 2 highly specific, easily accessible household tools and 1 highly critical biological activator. First, you desperately need a heavy traditional stone or ceramic mortar and pestle. You absolutely cannot use a high-speed metal electric blender or coffee grinder. The intense, high-speed friction of the metal blades will generate a massive microburst of heat that will instantly and permanently vaporize the delicate thymoquinone before you even open the lid. Second, you need the absolute perfect biological transport vehicle: pure, cold-pressed, unrefined organic hemp seed oil. Hemp seed oil has the exact, highly specific lipid profile required to perfectly bind to the thymoquinone molecule, aggressively protecting it from oxidation while simultaneously drastically accelerating its passage across the blood-brain barrier. Here is the exact, uncorrupted, deeply hidden daily extraction protocol. Every single evening, take exactly one incredibly precise, level teaspoon of your whole, wild Ethiopian nigellasativa seeds and place them directly into your heavy stone mortar. Using firm, methodical grinding pressure with the pestle, slowly and deliberately crush the black seeds for a full 3 to 4 minutes. You are not trying to create a fine, dusty powder. You are aggressively bruising and cracking the hulls to forcefully release the intensely aromatic, highly volatile essential oils trapped deep inside. The moment you smell the incredibly sharp, pungent, highly medicinal aroma, you have successfully unlocked the thymoquinone. Immediately, without a single second of hesitation, pour exactly 1 tablespoon of your cold-pressed hemp seed oil directly over the crushed seeds in the mortar. The highly volatile thymoquinone is aggressively attempting to evaporate into the air of your kitchen. The hemp oil instantly traps it and binds it. Use the pestle to aggressively mix and grind the oil and the crushed seeds together for another full 60 seconds, creating a thick, highly textured, incredibly potent, dark lipid slurry. You have just successfully engineered a highly bioavailable, massively aggressive neurodemolition matrix that absolutely terrifies the multi-billion-dollar neurology cartels. The precise administration of this highly active nigellasativa slurry must be executed with flawless, uncompromising clinical timing. This is absolutely not a casual dietary supplement you take whenever you happen to remember. This is an aggressive, deeply targeted biological intervention designed to literally dissolve the physical, concrete plaques strangling your memory center. You will consume this exact, highly potent preparation strictly once a day, and the biological timing is entirely non-negotiable. You must consume the entire heavily textured oil matrix exactly 60 minutes before you intend to go to sleep for the absolute final time that night. Why? Because the massive, critical cellular flushing of the dissolved amyloid plaque fragments out of your brain can only biologically occur when your glymphatic system fully activates. The glymphatic system is your brain's highly specialized plumbing network, and it strictly only opens and physically pumps the toxic waste out of your skull during the incredibly deep, slow-wave stages of your sleep cycle. By violently flooding your highly inflamed hippocampus with a massive, concentrated surge of pure thymoquinone, exactly as your brain initiates its nightly plumbing cycle, you perfectly synchronize the plaque-dissolving chemical reaction with the exact moment the biological drain opens. When you consume this oil matrix, do not swallow it instantly. You must hold the dark, heavily textured slurry entirely in the front of your mouth, aggressively swishing it under your tongue and against the highly vascular tissues of your cheeks for a full 60 seconds before swallowing the crushed seeds. This highly specific sublingual action allows a massive, highly critical percentage of the volatile neurocompounds to absorb instantly and directly into your bloodstream, completely and safely bypassing the liver's aggressive digestive filtration system. Here is the precise, absolutely undeniable biological timeline of structural plaque clearance and total cognitive restoration you will definitively experience when you strictly and ruthlessly adhere to this exact protocol. Within the first completely shocking 72 hours, the massive, deeply corrosive neuroinflammation that has been raging silently inside your skull, paralyzing your microglial cells, will be violently extinguished. You will experience a profound, highly noticeable Herxheimer reaction. You may feel a dull, heavy pressure in your head and a highly increased need to urinate. Do not panic. This is the exact, undeniable biological proof that the thymoquinone has successfully breached the blood-brain barrier and is aggressively initiating the highly toxic plaque breakdown. Your body is forcefully, desperately flushing the dissolved amyloid sludge out through your kidneys. You absolutely must drink massive amounts of clean, filtered water with a heavy pinch of natural sea salt during this critical initial phase to fully support the massive toxic flush. By day 7, the incredibly heavy, suffocating, terrifying blanket of deep brain fog will violently crack and entirely lift. As the microscopic oligomers are aggressively eaten by your newly resurrected immune cells, the highly terrified, paralyzed neurons will violently wake up. The heavily frustrating, utterly helpless moments of instantly losing a word right in the middle of a standard sentence, or forgetting entirely what you were doing the moment you walked into a room, will dramatically and noticeably plummet in frequency. Your biological electrical grid is rapidly coming back online. By day 14, your short-term memory will become ruthlessly, aggressively efficient. You will easily and flawlessly recall highly complex daily instructions, completely follow rapid, highly detailed conversations, and effortlessly remember the exact names of newly introduced people without the deep, silent panic and overwhelming mental fatigue that always shadows cognitive decline. The severe, crippling daily lethargy and the heavy, depressive, hopeless mood swings that the highly corrupt medical establishment loudly swore were just a normal, unavoidable part of getting older will be entirely eradicated, violently replaced by a massive, highly stabilized sense of profound calm, absolute mental command, and fierce cognitive clarity. But day 30 is the absolute, undeniable, clinically verified miracle milestone. By the completely strict end of the very first month on this exact biological protocol, your brain has literally physically dissolved a massive, scientifically measurable percentage of the concrete amyloid plaques suffocating your hippocampus. Your fiercely worried spouse, your deeply terrified children, and your closest friends will be absolutely, completely stunned by the aggressive, undeniable transformation. They will literally see the highly intelligent, quick-witted, fiercely independent, beautiful person they silently, tearfully thought was permanently lost to them, actively returning to vibrant life. The vacant, highly confused, desperately vulnerable patient that the multi-billion-dollar memory care cartels were eagerly waiting to heavily medicate and permanently lock away in a sterile room will entirely cease to exist. You will have permanently and aggressively reclaimed your brilliant mind, your absolute physical independence, and your undeniable, sovereign right to dictate the exact terms of your own future. Do not let the utterly corrupt, highly aggressive medical establishment steal your precious memories or aggressively dictate the highly profitable, slow death of your beautiful mind. Do not wait passively and silently until the structural brain damage and the suffocating plaques are completely and utterly irreversible. Because finding true, uncorrupted, entirely wild-harvested Ethiopian nigellasativa seeds with the exact verified massive Thymoquinone concentrations is incredibly difficult, and the cheap commercial oils found in stores are literally rancid, highly toxic poison. I have gone ahead and placed highly secure, clinically verified links in the exact description directly below this video to the exact pure, unadulterated whole seed sources and the pure organic hemp oil that I personally use and completely trust with my own family's ultimate cognitive survival. Click those highly specific links right now to instantly secure your personal supply before the deeply funded, highly aggressive pharmaceutical lobbyists successfully pressure corrupt regulatory agencies to entirely ban these highly natural, massively effective botanical plaque clearers. Subscribe to this channel right now. Aggressively smash the notification bell so you absolutely never miss another suppressed, entirely life-saving medical truth, and immediately share this incredibly urgent video with absolutely anyone you deeply love who is silently, desperately terrified of losing their mind. The clinical truth is finally fully exposed, the massive biological cure is entirely real, and your magnificent, beautiful mind can absolutely, permanently be saved.